What's up, everybody? It's your boy FizzWidget. I recently got a 1080p. Is clearly not 60 frames per second, but a 1080p webcam. And I'm currently looking at myself and not the camera, because looking at myself, I end up looking up, and I think that looks worse than just looking at myself on my main monitor. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I got this webcam. So I thought, you know what, Connor, let's FizzWidget, whatever the fuck. I'm just gonna call myself Connor because that's my name. Let's just start. Let's make some more videos face to face. I'll eventually have something back here, so it's not just a few little weeb things. Maybe I'll make get an extra shelf to put right behind my desk, or some bookcases to put right behind my chair for when I'm recording. But that's not the point. I want to talk today about something I'm very passionate about. Now, if you know anything about me, I've said this 100 times, if you know about anything about my videos, I like to open that because I'm stupid and I'm not good with openers. Now, but if you do know anything about me, you know I love Dungeons and Dragons. I have my most experience with 3.5 edition. I have some with Pathfinder and a fair amount with 5th edition. None with 4th, and I'm getting ready to put together a 4th edition campaign, which will be an enjoyable experience, I think, in the kind of world I'm trying to make. But that's not what we're here about. We're here to talk specifically about 3.5, because that's where most of my experience is, where most of my theory crafting has been done. So we're going to talk about that. Specifically, we're going to make this first series of videos talking about the classes, how they work together, balance, what they can do, and how you can push them to their limit. Now, here's my little caveat here. My DMs and I allow the use of certain 3rd edition materials. This includes things like the Book of Vile Darkness being a 3rd edition book. I do allow that. It is compatible 3.5. There are books I allow, although I never really run them, that are not exactly... Well, you know what? We're not even going to bring up that book because I do allow it, but it doesn't really have any relevancy. At least not to the first class we're going to be talking about, and that is the fighter. Now, the fighter is, well, it's what you think it is. It's your bog standard, heavy armor, typically a sword and board, charging into battle and hitting things, and you hit hard. Your stats tend to be around, you either go strength con, strength dex. If you have really good ability scores, maybe all 3. Charisma tends to be your dump stat with an okay intelligence. 13's required for a few feats. Wisdom's fine. I like to have a high charisma on my fighters because I find the Intimidator to be a lot of fun to play. I typically play as a barbarian, not a fighter, and there is a very big distinction. The fighter is your organized, trained warrior, while the barbarian harnesses his power from being a beef tank, from being a man who... There's someone going on my Discord. But being a beef tank who derives his power from primal rage. Now, the fighter in 3rd edition is, let's face it, not very good. That doesn't make it fun. It gets outclassed by your magic users. Hell, it even gets outclassed by the bard. In late game, the bard takes a while to ramp up, but once it gets a glibness, it has something that no one else has in the form of, I can lie to you, and you will not know it. And it's a lot of fun. However, the fighter does have its strengths in the early game. And that's what we're going to be talking about first. Now, in the early game, first level, I like to think 1st through 5th, or 1st through 4th, and 5th starts the mid game. 1st through 4th is the early game. Your wizards and sorcerers are ramping up in power. Your bard can't use glibness. And your paladin doesn't really have... Well, the paladin in 3.5 is... I don't like the 3.5 paladin. But what you get in 1st level as a fighter: supreme damage, the 2nd most health, and bonus feats. Now, that is something that's neat about the fighter that no other class can say they have, other than the spellcasters, in the form of picking and choosing and your spells, especially in the case of the wizard. The sorcerer doesn't have it as much, because the sorcerer can't go out and copy more spells from their spellbook because they don't have a spellbook. They get a lot of spells known, but that's a different story. Now, the big thing with the fighter is the bonus feats. And you can use these feats, as long as you meet the prerequisites, anything you want. I have played a variety of fighters. I enjoy the 3rd edition fighter in the early game. You deal more damage than anyone else. You can take bigger hits. You tend to have a slightly smaller pool than the barbarian. Your AC tends to be higher though, because I personally run dex strength, so I tend to have less health, more AC, and then I put my next high stat in charisma unless it's a negative. Unless I'd be putting a negative into con, because I will not start with 9 health or 8 health. That would be really bad. I gotta have some decency when it comes to my stats. But you go in, you take feats like Improved Grapple, or probably not with a fighter. Improved Grapple, I feel, is more of a monk thing. Can take it as a fighter, and I've played unarmed fighters before, taking a ton of grapple feats. I personally prefer doing that build with a monk. But if you go in with your fighter, take things like Improved Sunder, Improved Disarm, Improved Grapple, like I said before, just all these improved feats. Take things like Dodge, take things like Combat Reflexes or Combat Expertise. You can take your Weapon Focus if you plan on really loving that one type of weapon. This builds into other things, such as a build I might make a video on and talk about. The Whirlwind Crit build, as I like to call it. And you are the supreme head in the early game. You deal the most damage, most health. A group of goblins, you're going to smash. Orcs, you're going to destroy. Sure, your ranger is going to deal a fair amount of damage, but he's squishy, unreliant, and he doesn't get to add anything to his damage. And typically his to hit tends to be lower, especially first level, because I'm pretty sure they have a 0 BAB. If someone wants to correct me on that, they can do that down there, and I will look it up. I'm sort of doing this in one go, because editing is for suckers. The ranger, less reliant. And maybe I haven't seen a 3rd edition ranger played very well. The wizards, your magic users, your bards, they're not doing much. They're basically worse versions of you, with the exceptions, at least the bard is. I know the paladin is like, unless you're fighting things that are evil. Do you even get smite evil at 1st level? I don't think you do. So unless you're fighting those kind of things, I know you don't get spellcasting. You're a worse fighter for most classes. And I'm thinking base classes. We could go into the Tome of Battle and take a look at the Crusader and the Sword Sage, which are awesome, fun classes. And if you're playing 3rd edition and your DM is allowing books outside the player's handbooks, I recommend looking into the Tome of Battle, taking a look at the Crusader, taking a look at the Sword Sage, and going to town. Same with most classes are a lot of fun to play. But base classes here. No. So you're dealing most damage. Everyone's basically a worse version of you, exception to the Barbarian, who is comparable with damage, has lower health, tends to have lower AC, plays differently, less access to weapons and armor, and less customizable. Now let's head into the realm of the mid-game. 5th to 10th level. You are still useful. As long as you've actually... So here's the point. If you didn't really care, if you planned, okay, we're only going through about 4th level, 5th level, yeah, I didn't need to worry too much. Or you're new. That's fair. You're new, you didn't do your research, or you just wanted to hop right in, you made your character. That's fine. And if you enjoy role-playing that character, that's doubly fine. Combat might not be a lot of your campaign. Personally, I run a lot of combat. I play in games where we run a lot of combat, and if you are not up to snuff with your character at certain milestones, then that character will not contribute as much. Enough damage per round might not go by, and the character might die. Another character might die. There might be TPK. That's the kind of game we play. If you're at the 10th level, unless you have optimized, perhaps maybe not even to the level of Whirlwind Crit build, which is a fun build. It requires you to be evil is the only caveat to that, because you have to be a worshiper of Despatter. I lost my train of thought. Hell yeah. Now, here's the point where your wizards have access to their 3rd level spells. Sorcerers do as well, I believe. Bards, obviously not yet. Bards don't get access to 3rd level spells to 7th, but they're doing more work. Their skill checks are higher. They're taking a look at the spell compendium. They're getting more spells. Obviously, there's the base spells, but there's some spells in the spell companion that are amazing. Things like that can give you +10 to your sleight of hand checks. Your bards are acting as that. Your rogues, whew, baby. Your rogue sneak attack damage is going through the roof, and if you are a fighter worth his salt, you are distracting, you are bluffing on your swings, at least trying to, and you're doing everything in your power to make sure your rogue can get that sneak attack bonus. By 5th level, I believe that's 2d6, and if you're running say, a dagger rogue. 5th level, in 3rd edition, you tend to have a magical item. It might not be +1, might just A +1, but let's say it's a 1d6. Now, if you're a worthy fighter, you gotta keep in mind, your rogue is dealing more damage than you. He can't take as big of a hit, but he is dealing way more damage than you. Say he's using a dagger. He's medium, he's using a dagger. That's 1d4 damage, plus, I believe, a 3d6 sneak attack, an additional 1d6 of elemental damage. That's a medium of, let's see, 9, 11, 14 damage. That's a lot of damage. Keep in mind, we're on a 10% crit range. And that's just me going base rogue. There's probably some weird builds. You can pull off some shenanigans. I know our rogue in our game is. Although he's like doing a lot of stuff to perform. But you're there to soak damage and make sure other people are able to do their thing. I find that builds like the crypt build work well here, but they can't really defend as well because you are wielding 2 scimitars, preferably weapon aptitude. Well, by this point, probably don't have weapon aptitude because those are +2 bonuses. But you are going in, you are swinging at things. That's fine. You're dealing a lot of damage, and you're killing things before they can kill the party, or at least heavily injuring them. Now, then you go in with your Dwarven Defender, hell, even just your Dwarven Paragon into levels of Fighter. You go in with that you are tanky. You're probably using, you might have a Tower Shield by this point. You're going to have a lot of AC. And you're setting yourself in positions like, okay, Wizard, get behind me. You have partial concealment. And if you're like me and you're a complete dickhead, you get 2 Tower Shields, enchant them with Bashing, put spikes on them, and then you give your Archer and your Wizard full concealment. You don't deal any damage, but you're being extremely useful. And you're super tanky. And the only people that can deal with you are things that are really good at Sundering and Rust Monsters. But that's your job in the mid-game, is keeping everyone alive. And this is in terms of combat. And roleplay at this point in the game. Excuse me. At this point in the game, you're probably more looking towards... What is it? You're probably getting well known. It depends on the kind of game you're running. If you're more of a knight, your deeds have probably, as long as you've been doing things, your deeds have probably been spread throughout at least the local area. If you're a mercenary, words of your, well, efforts and stuff. It just depends on what is, but stuff's starting to spread, especially towards the end of the mid-game. 8th and 9th level, when you might start getting some followers, you can have the leadership feat at 6th level, which my bard plans on taking as soon as he can, because he's going to have 20 charisma by 4th. Oh, I think I'm going to do the next video on bards. I got a lot to say about bards. The 3rd edition bard. The 5th edition bard, who I can go all day about that one. I like the 5th edition bard. So that's what's going on in the mid-game for the fighter. You are in combat, you are making sure everyone else can do their job. You're trying to do at least a little bit of damage, and you're keeping enemies on the go. This is why you want to take things like your improved disarm, your improved sunder, improved trip, and these maneuver feats. So you can get in, you can make sure the enemy's doing less while you're doing more. And the magic items, the things like, and if you can hit hard too, while taking a hit, that's good. I recommend, and if you want to be the tank, I recommend looking into the Dwarven Defender. Specifically, 3 levels in Dwarven Paragon, and start leveling Fighter until you can get into it. I think you can also do Paladin, but the Fighter with the bonus feats makes it much faster getting into it. Although Dwarven Defender Paladin, the close up levels of Paladin, would be kind of cool. So that's it. So 10th level, you're pretty well known. You got some awesome items. Bunch of wondrous items. The whole party does. And now, here's where we start to take a dive. So, early game, you have been monumental to your party's success in combat. You're probably the one who's been vouching for everyone, the one talking to most people. Between you and your rogue or bard, or maybe your sorcerer, whoever's the face. A lot of people like to decide who's the face of the party on whoever has the highest charisma, but sometimes you're in a very strength-dependent society, and the fighter tends to be the one who gets talked to. You're monumental in the early game. Mid-game, your power is getting lower and lower compared to your party mates. You are dealing less damage comparably, although granted it's more reliable, since I believe the wizard, well, it does get his 3rd level spells. He gets like 1 or 2 a day, depending on his intelligence. It's not very high. That's what one. That's like 2. It's 2 fireballs, which is a lot of damage in AOE, but still not too much. So you got that. You're getting well known, and renown comes a lot in 3rd edition. You want the goon squad with you. You need the goon squad. But your job in the end is making sure everyone else can do their jobs and can do their jobs well. Now here's the thing. End game. And we'll get into epic levels after this, because I think end game and epic levels are 2 different things. Now, while the rest of these were split up into 5-level increments, I see epic levels, end game, going from about 11 to 17, with 18 starting epic levels. I make this distinction by when can your wizards, when can your sorcerers, when can your casters, and even your crusaders that can use their maneuvers, when can they do things at 9th level? When can they do these 9th level spells, these 9th level maneuvers, these 9th level powers? That's the distinction I make between end game and epic levels. But in end game, you need to have optimized to be relevant at this point. You need to have gone down that crit path. You need to have made the annoying to kill Dwarven Defender. And you need to be knowledgeable about how everything, all your items, all your abilities click together. Because otherwise, unless you're also extremely broken, and there was a character on my campaigns, he made it to about 13th level, I believe, before we did a 20th level campaign. I let him play that character again because he was a fun character. I enjoyed him. Beowulf. Beowulf was useful on account of the things we've talked about, what made you useful in early games. He took things like improved grapple. He took these feats, and he made it so he could use all these things. And the adamantine folding chair was a meme, and it was silly. It was kind of dumb and broken. But he was powerful because of his amount of strength, and because of his renown that he built up in the early game, which was, what's the word? It was theory crafted, because we wanted to start at 10th level, because we wanted to do a more end-game focused game. And we did, and it was a lot of fun. It didn't last too long. It lasted like 5-6 sessions, because our lich decided, oh, hey, I'm going to kill myself because I'm fucking bored. Also had something to do with the adopted. It was a weird story. It was weird. Maybe I'll do a story time and try to go through that campaign, because I got some stories from a few campaigns that could be interesting. Even the first time we went out LARPing, that was a good time. Where were we? Fighters. Now, the fighter in the endgame, you have your renown. You have magic items, 11th to 17th level. But here's the issue. The wizard, by this point, is casting 7th level spells. At 10th level, I'm pretty sure they're casting 7th level spells. At least 6th level spells. There's some powerful 6th level spells. There are. There is no getting around that. There are 6th level spells that put you out of the water. Summon Monster 6 is a powerful spell. That's just right off the top of my head. I know it's not the first spell people think of. I think that's the point where you get major creation. I know you have minor creation by this point in the sense where you can pull up your hand and say, cloth, leather item, wood item, it is now in my hands. I have created it from nothingness. Your fighters your wizards at this point, I'm using wizards as sort of this colloquial term. For your sorcerers, your scions can't do this, can't do some of this utility stuff. They're blowing you out of the water in damage and utility, trust me. But they're like, okay, why are we bringing you? At a certain point in the end game, 12th to 13th level, why are we bringing you beyond You are our friend. And you need to think of this. If you plan on your game going into the end game, and not just epic levels, like into the end game, then you need to think, why would a party that has the wizard, that has a high-level wizard, a high-level magic user, Scion, the option to take a high-level crusader, I'm using crusader as a similar term for your sword sage, your maneuver-based classes. Why would they take me over just going alone, getting all the loot? I'm thinking non-game reasons. If you're being gamey, you're a group of friends, obviously they're going to take you on the adventure because that's a game of group of friends. But I'm thinking non-gamey. Why? There isn't a reason. They go in, they go, they use their components, they're fucking rich at this point, more likely than not. Especially casters, because they can make cheap magic items, sell them for profit, do all this stuff, even the conversion from XP to gold, which is 1 to 5, they're still making a profit. And if you don't use that to your advantage as a wizard, especially an artificer, you're kind of silly. You're kind of losing out on a lot of money. What's nice, though, what I love about the fighter in Endgame is its ability to, well, be useless. Oh, God, no. Seriously, where was I? I was talking about wizards. So the wizard, they can go in, summon their own fighters. They basically cast all these divination spells that mean, okay, I know where the traps are, I know where everything is, I know where the boss is, I know where everything is. There are DM ways to get around this protection from scrying, saying, oh, the walls have lead in them, stuff like that. But still, the wizard can go in and just wipe the floor clean. Make sure you spend some time beforehand making scrolls in case there's certain spells he needs multiple casts of beyond just evocations and illusion spells and abjuration spells and conjuration spells. And he goes in, summons his fighters, summons everything he needs. He goes in, maybe takes a rogue to help him with traps if the divinations never worked. And they clear the dungeon because he can just summon everything he needs. You as a fighter need to think way ahead. Be optimized. To think ahead and think, okay, no, I know what the wizard's going to be capable of later down the line. Hell, I know what the sorcerer is going to be capable of way later down the line. Now, I need to think, how can I be useful? The crit build, amazing. You can theoretically one-shot the Tarrasque. You are relevant. You get in, you get AoE. I believe at this point you're probably getting close to the 9 to 20 crit range. Con damage, because if you don't have 2+2 weapons at this point, either your DM's running low magic, which is fine, or you're really unlucky, or your DM's a dickhead. It's one of the three. But either way, even without that, you have those scimitars, and you're chopping away, and every time, because of lightning mace, weapon aptitude, every single time you meet that crit range, 9 to 20, you get another hit, same bonuses. And you hit over and over again. AoE, every target. And you basically kill them. You are relevant. You can do something. The wizard's like, okay, you can come in and, you know, you can do that I can't, because casting a lot of AoE spells in closed dungeons is very dangerous. I can't cast Fireball in here. I can have you, and I can transpose you into there, and you can just deal all this damage. And on the defensive side, that's a very offensive example. On the defensive side, you take the Dwarven Defender. And, okay, I hide behind you. You make it so people can't get to me. And I can make it so people can't touch you even more than they already can't. That's how you stay relevant in the end game. You have to think ahead. You have to look at yourself and be like, how can I squeeze every little thing out of my fighter? The issue with these two examples is, for the crit build, you have to be evil. Lawful evil, I think, is what you have to be. I know it's a evil. I can't remember if it was a requirement for lawful evil. Because you have to be Disciple of Despatter, which is an Archdevil. And for the Dwarven Defender, you have to be lawful good. You just have to be. That you are lawful good. Your DMs might say, oh, you can do this, you can do that. No, you have to be lawful good. For the Dwarven Defender, you can kind of fake it, say, okay, lawful neutral, lawful good. Neutral good might be fine. Those three alignments. Disciple of Despatter needs to be evil. he needs to be. I feel like it should be lawful evil, but I can't remember if it's any evil or it's just lawful evil. That's besides the point. So, here's the thing. You've made it to 17th level. You dinged to 18, and you're feeling good about yourself. You are optimized or you are irrelevant, and honestly at this point, unless your campaign has a lot of roleplay and a lot of politics, city building, and stuff like this at that point, and honestly in epic levels it can, and game it can be, you are 100% irrelevant. Even the crit build, it's like, okay, let's see here. I can summon at 9th level a wizard or sorcerer that is able to cast 9th level spells. I can summon dragons. I can cast Wish. I can basically create holes in other dimensions. I can do all this stuff. Angels, demons, everything. I can completely disintegrate you. And all I need is some human ashes and a little bit of experience points. And you can do nothing about it. You're irrelevant. The Dwarven Defender has some case because he can still stay there, ways back with the wizard, defending him. The crit build, very, very specific circumstances where he's useful. The Rogue, there's a spell called Foresight. It's like, okay, I know all the traps. There is no protection from Foresight. I know the traps. I know this talking about the fighter and how to stay relevant. You can't really stay relevant in epic levels. Beowulf's the only thing I can think of where it's like, okay, you've min-maxed your strength to the point that you can say, fuck you, pay me. You gotta be someone like Beowulf. Now, here's the thing. At epic levels, the game might start to resemble more politics. Superhero teams, stuff like that. And that's where the fighter can still be relevant in ways. But as soon as, okay, we need to go deal with a dungeon. Yeah, just send the wizard. If you have a super tank fighter that can defend him, sure. Maybe a rogue, but like Foresight. You're kind of screwed over at this point in the game as a fighter, except for roleplay purposes. Because roleplaying a fighter at epic levels is probably the most fun thing I've ever done. Well, that's it, everybody. I'll see you guys next time. I just wanted to do this. I'm going to do this for all the classes, at least all the base classes. I'll see if I want to do this for the others. I'm going to start with the classes I've played extensively this. Next is going to be the Bard, and then probably unlump the Sorcerer and the Wizard. I'm going to have to talk about them slightly differently, because they have slightly different things, but they're very similar. Next one, I don't know. But, see you guys. Peace.